Station. Hello violin players, welcome to Pro-Am Strings. I'm Henriette and I'm delighted to see you here in this live chat. Henriette Goes Live, and we do this stream about once a month, and this is your opportunity to ask me any violin related questions. So what is happening in this lesson today, I should actually say also to the people who are watching this at a different time. This video will stay on my YouTube channel for you to watch at a later time, but if this is you, if you're watching this later, then a warm welcome to you as well, and I'm hoping that another day you might join us for real, in real time, and you might even be asking some questions. So it is lovely to be doing this. I'm doing this live chat about once a month simply because I really enjoy connecting with you, my audience on YouTube. You've been very generous over the years with all your comments and all your responses to my videos that I put out. So this is my way of saying thank you to you. Ask me any questions. So when you're here, you can use the chat box to ask your questions, and the questions are for members of Henriette's Violin Club, and you may have heard about Henriette's Violin Club. We've recently expanded it to 3 different levels, and members at any level can ask the questions. There is now bronze, which used to be the single level that we used to have already, and we have got the silver and the gold level memberships as well. So come and say hello, excuse me, in the chat box. Come and say hello when you're here, and if you are a member, come and say hello and tell me where you live, because using a chat box is something that you might have to just get used to, and I'm reading the chats as we go along, so feel free to ask your questions right here. So I've already written my little note there, and I'm going to write you where I am, and I am in Norwich in the UK, and where I am at the moment is freezing cold, and you can tell because I have a very cold nose, so it'll be very red, and that's simply because it's so cold here. So welcome everyone once again, and fire away with your questions. Usually we have got visitors here from all over the world, and it takes a little bit of time for everyone to find this live stream. So whilst we wait for the first question to come through, let me begin by a question which somebody has asked underneath one of the videos in a comment section, and this person has only just got a new violin and it has just got started, and he or she, I don't know, I don't remember, they got their violin out of their violin case. It's brand new, never tried it, and started to play, and there is no sound. And I don't know if you have come across this issue as well when that happened to you, and it happens more than I think it happens. I sometimes fear. So I just want to explain to you what you can do if that happens. Now, when your violin is transported and maybe posted out to you, some violin makers or some sellers of violins loosen all the strings, and they may even take the bridge off for fear of it falling down in transit. So the first thing you're going to have to do is put the bridge upright on your violin, and the bridge is this wooden thing right here, and then put tension on the strings, and that in itself is a very challenging thing to do. So I have got much admiration for those of you who are starting on your own and learning by yourself. You know that I'm a great admirer of anyone who learns a new skill from YouTube. So if that is you, you've bought a new violin, it hasn't got a bridge on, it hasn't got your strings so tight that you can play, what can you do? First of all, you put the bridge on, and the bridge, it will be in one of those little pockets in your violin case, most likely, and you put it about level with those little dents here in your F holes. Can you see? There are these little dents, and that is the level where your bridge is going to go. and then it's got to be in the middle, so you might move it side to side and then look here, because your string should be centered above the fingerboard. And then you're going to have to tune the violin. Now the easiest thing to do really is to take your violin to a violin shop and ask people to do it, because if you have no experience tuning a violin, it's not the easiest thing to do. But you get a tuning app or a tuning fork, or you may even go on to one of my tuning videos on my channel. I'm sure if you search, write in the search box how to tune a violin, you'll get lots of videos about tuning a violin, and you can follow me step by step and tune the violin. And I'm hoping that your violin will then sound like that. Okay, and then you might want to start to play, so you need to get your bow out, and each bow has got a little screw here at the end, and you need to tighten the screw first of all. So tighten it a little bit more, so that your strings, your hair on the bow gets a little bit of tension. And how tight should it be? You should be able to put your finger in between there, the narrowest point, and you should just be able to fit your finger in. So not too tight and not too loose. And then you should add some rosin on your bow. And you may well have some rosin that came with your violin in this case. And then you need quite a bit of rosin, because especially when your bow is brand new, there will sometimes not be any rosin on your bow. So you might want to rosin like this. Press fairly hard until you can see the white powder coming off. And then you go on to the next little section, and so you carry on all the way to the point of the bow, all the way. There we are, and the point as well. And then you can play, and your bow should make a sound. So I don't know if anyone's come across this. You wanted to play and there was no sound. Let me know what happened. Do write in the chat box so I can answer this question for you if this has occurred to you before. Anyone that has happened to? Not at all at the moment. Yeah, I can see that there are a couple of people here. So lucky for you if that hasn't happened. Now, it is a bit of a tricky thing, isn't it, to buy a violin online, not knowing what you're going to get, and not knowing when you unpack the box what's in it and how to handle it. So all credit to those people who that's happened to. It's not the easiest thing to do, but well done you. At the same time, I noticed that at this channel there are a lot of people, and I know that because some people speak to me in lessons, some people book lessons after they have been following my courses on YouTube. So they've been explaining to me that they started off and it was very challenging. Then you get into habit of things, and then after a while again you get better and better, and you might want to listen. So this is how I know these things, that the initial getting started is super tricky. So please don't be disheartened if that is you. Do please ask for help, because there are people out there to help you, and it makes your life a lot easier. And when you get that first hurdle out of the way, it will be easier to then follow it through and make some more progress. But it's that first initial getting started that is sometimes very challenging indeed. So is there anyone who has a violin related question? If that is the case, please write it in the chat box. And I wanted to answer another question that someone has asked me. And people sometimes ask me, what kind of strings should I use on my violin? And there are many different types of strings that you can put on your violin, and advanced players will experiment with different strings because different kinds of strings sound different on different kind of instruments. When you're a beginner, maybe not a completely fresh beginner, but a beginner who's been learning for a while already, you are looking to find a string that is easy to sound, that makes a sound very easily, and also that is long lasting, because your bow strokes are maybe not as smooth yet as they are when you're a little bit further advanced, but you want a sound, a string that responds very easily. And therefore I'd suggest you get a string which has a nylon core and is wound with silver or metal wire. And if you have a silver wired string, the sound will be a little bit more mellow. If you have a metal wire string, they call them steel strings, the sound is a little bit more in your face, a little bit more direct, a little bit louder maybe as well. So it depends on what you like the sound of, whether to go for a silver wired string or a metal wired, a steel wired string. It's just a matter of exploring a little bit, but what is quite important is that you have 4 more or less similar strings on your violin. So don't go for 2 softer ones and 2 steel ones, because it makes the 4 strings quite uneven, and you want to have a very even quality of sound. So the timbre that these strings make should be more or less the same on all 4 strings. So you might go on my website, and my website is proamstrings.com. Underneath every video there is a link to the website as well, so you can find it there. And I've got a new shop, as you may know, and I've put some decent strings in the shop. The Thomas Dick Dominant ones, they're really good strings. They are long lasting, they respond very easily. And then there are the Parastro strings as well, which are really, really good strings. So go and have a look and explore for yourself what kind of sound you like. Now, if you are a little bit further advanced and you want to explore even more with different strings, what can you do? First of all, what you can do is to listen very carefully to the timbre of each of the strings that you've got on your violin. And what you're looking for, as I said before, you're looking for an atmosphere that each string creates, a timbre that each string has, which is the same as another one. So you don't want one string jumping out at you and be much clearer or much more in your face than the other string. So if you've got a very muffled sound, see if you have 4 equally muffled sounds on each string. Now, if you have if you have very different strings and you like one sound of the string more than another, it might well be a good opportunity to explore what different strings do. So what you can do is find out what that string is that you like so much and put a similar one on a new string once you're ready to replace it. Of course, then you're left with what I just said. Please don't add different strings, but you are in a process of maybe exploring other options, and then it is different, of course. So find a string that you like, and always keep the packaging as well, I always say, and write the date when you replaced it on the packaging of old strings, so that you always have a record of what you have on your violin and when you last put it on. And you might explore from the various different types of strings. I mean, someone said to me the other day she's replaced all her strings on her violin for Jager, and Jager is a different brand. It gives a sort of, let me say, warmer sound. It depends on the quality violin that you have as well. A fuller sound, maybe slightly louder as well, but then again it's slightly harder to make it speak. So experiment with different sounds that you get on your strings, and you will soon find out whether you like a string better than another or not. And you'll find out if you like string A better than string B, then go and explore string A, the type of string A, for whenever you need a new string. And fitting new strings is something that we do one by one. So you certainly won't take 4 strings off and replace them with 4 new strings all in one go, because new strings take a while to stretch and to get played in. And that may take, depending on how often you play, that may take up to 2 weeks before a new string gets played in. And you'll feel that once you've started playing on a new string, that it becomes more responsive, it becomes slightly more mellow in tone, it becomes slightly less scratchy in sound as well once you start to play it in. And in the first couple of weeks, hang on, there's somebody just at the door, but I'm going to let that be. And once you put a new string on and you tighten it, it will stretch. So the first couple of days of having a new string, it will stretch, and you'll have to tune very, very frequently until it settles down. Once it's stretched out, it will be absolutely fine. But it takes a little while whilst that string is a little bit harsh in sound and keeps going out of tune, but stick with it because that will pass. And that is purely the reason why you put new strings on one by one rather than all 4 in one go, because you don't want that aggravation times 4 when you put 4 new strings on. How do I know then when I need to replace a string? And there is a very, very easy way to check that out. Now, I'm not sure, I think I've shown you this on another live stream at some point. Let me see where my camera is. Here we are. Strings go out of tune at some point. So we're checking the strings frequently. I'm actually going to start on the G string. And let's have a look at the vibration of this string. Hang on. I'm not sure whether you can see it properly. I'll try it again. Oops. Yes, here you can see it better. Can you see the string? When it vibrates, it goes out and then back in. Can you see that? Now, when it goes out, and it should go straight back in an even motion. Now, if your string does this, like that, it is time for to start to think about a new string. And every so often, and especially at times when you've played the violin quite a lot, you might try your string. So I'm checking this D string here. You might see it does go back quite quickly, so I see it expand. Let's check the G string again. See, this one has a much longer ring. Can you see that? Whereas the D string goes straight back in. Maybe it's not the case. Let's see what the A string does. Okay, again, I haven't got a very long ring. What about the E? Oops. Let me see if I can show it to you better. You can hear this string ring as well, can't you? They're fairly fresh strings, so perhaps not the best example, but check your own strings like that as well and see how long they ring for, and whether it goes out when you pluck it and gently back in, and evenly back in, I should say, or whether it goes out and then back in. And when you get that, and you will notice it when it happens, when you get that, it will be time to replace your strings, and it might be your opportunity to check, to experiment with different strings. So, is there anyone who is a member who wants to ask a question? I can't see the questions come through yet. Is there anyone out there? Yes, I can see there are 18 people here. So, go ahead. If you are having a question, ask it. Right. So it may well be that the people who are here are non-members, and this is something that we have changed recently. Is we've introduced the memberships just to allow people to get a little bit, or to allow me rather, to get a little bit closer to those people who are members. So if you're not yet a member, perhaps consider becoming a member. And if you go on to the homepage of my YouTube channel, and like I said before, I do these live classes about once a month, towards the end of the month, mostly. It's usually either the third or Friday of the month, depending a little bit about what the week looks like. But then you can ask your questions. So look at the homepage of the Pro Strings YouTube channel. There is a join button somewhere, and you can read all about the perks of the different memberships. And if you're a member, it could be you who could be asking the questions. Now, you may have noticed that I'm experimenting a little bit with the timing of these classes, because some people have told me when I did the classes at 3 o'clock, it concurs with the school pickup. And I get that, and I understand from when my children were little that you want to spread things out during the day a little bit. So that is why we're here at 12:30 today, to see if that is a better time for people. So do let me know. You can send me a message, you can email me, you can write underneath any video, and I get to see that, what you think about it. People in America want to have the live classes a little bit later. People in Australia say to me, oh, I can never join because your classes are on in the middle of the night. So I can see from people who are there usually how far east they live, what is still manageable. So I apologize if my lessons are at a difficult time for you, but that's why I'm varying it a little bit. So you might write in the community tab as well on the channel, when is a good time for you. And I'm sometimes quite flexible when to put on these classes, because it's lovely if there are a whole lot of people there. And then you get a sort of discussion going. So that is what we're aiming to do. So maybe again at the end of February, let me just have a look at my calendar, and maybe we can put on a better timed class then. I am going to pinpoint Friday the 24th of February, and I'm sort of thinking that the next class might be at that time. So you're very welcome to come and join me then. And if you're a member of Henriette's Violin Club, you can join me then and ask any violin related questions. So I very much look forward to seeing you then. Do join me if you can. Bye bye.